After 2 years of lockdowns, canceled travel, illnesses, and personal loss, I needed to get away. The changing topography below my plane gave me hope for a new beginning, a personal rebirth, a promise of adventures to come. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today is day one of my visit to southern Arizona, and it's mid-morning and I'm here not so much to do shoot landscape because it's really too late in the day for that, too late in the morning I should say for that, but I'm scouting here in the Lost Gold Mine Trail, which is part of the Tonto National Forest just east of the Scottsdale and Phoenix area. And at this point of the day, I'm probably looking to shoot birds and other wildlife, and also I'm doing scouting for possible sunrise or sunset shots. Behind me here are, I'm not sure which mountains these are. I think these are part of the Superstition Range. And as you can see, the forest here is mainly saguaro cactus, along with prickly pear cactus. I'm not quite sure what other kind of cactuses there are, but as you can also hear, probably, there are a lot of birds in the air. I've already seen white-winged doves, I think California quail. I think there's a cactus wren calling in the background. If I can find it, I'm going to shoot it with the camera, of course, and possibly some raptors. So let me put the camera down. Well, actually, I'm not going to put the camera down, but I'm just going to scout around, walk very slowly, see what I can see. And I expect I'll be here for a couple of hours as far as the scouting and bird photography before it gets too hot. It's already about 80 degrees. It's not even 10 o'clock in the morning yet. So let's move on and see what I get. The saguaros are in bloom today. What a lovely flower, perfect for every occasion. They really are very pretty, and I've just taken a few shots of them. You know, just to get one shot in the bag anyway, and certainly in better light, they'll be even more dramatic, and I may come back again when I return for sunset or sunrise, as the case may be. I'll come back to this specific tree because I really do love the flowers on the blooms on the tops of the saguaro branches. So here's my first shot, and if there's another shot, you'll see that later on. You see the saguaro cactus right in the middle of the frame? There's a flicker nest there. I just saw a pair of flickers go in and out of the cavity. That's about 2/3 of the way up the cactus. So I want to stay here, wait for them to come back, and try and get some video and images of them. And you may have already seen, if I got it, the B-roll for the flickers. So next shot you're going to see are going to be some stills of those birds. Unfortunately for me, the woodpecker wouldn't cooperate. It took another 15 minutes just to get this one shot. I decided to move on. So I've come across a prickly pear cactus in bloom, and the thing is I wanted to set up my regular camera to try and get a nice shot of it, but as you can see, it's pretty well guarded by the blades right around it. So what I wound up doing is holding my phone like so, and one-handing a shot. This Pixel phone can shoot pretty close up. So it's a decent macro image, and I'll put it up just so you can see. It's really just a record shot, but I certainly can see myself coming back here in better light and taking the same shot again and getting much different results. Hopefully, if not this cactus, another one, but with my regular camera and with really nice golden light behind it. So here it is, and then we'll move on and see what else I can get. Okay, I've definitely found a spot to come back to later, probably for a morning sunrise shot, because the sun would come up from the east behind the mountains, and this bush that's right here, if it's backlit by the sun, or even side lit, I think it would be glorious. I think I I think this really have some possibilities. I want to check in photo pills or something, just where exactly the sun would come up here. But this, if I step back just a little bit or raise the camera like so, it's framed up nicely against the mountains, and that looks like a pretty interesting shot. So definitely a place to come back to later. All right, so a little further up the trail, I've come across a composition already taking the shot. I just want to explain what I did, because a lot of the times I think folks would probably pass this shot up just because of the lighting. You see a grouping of saguaro against the mountains in the very center of this frame, and I've used my long lens, my 100 to 500, zoomed in to about 100 millimeters to take the shot. As you can see, the cactus are kind of backlit or really overlit, almost like a hair lighting from the sun, which is almost directly overhead, just slightly at maybe 11 o'clock from where I'm standing. And if I was here in the morning at sunrise, the mountains would be nice, the cactus would be backlit, the mountains would also be backlit and largely in shadow. And unless there was some really dramatic sky, which is kind of unlikely around here, this would be an okay shot, but not that great. Right now, it's probably an okay shot, but not that great, but at least the mountains are illuminated. So I'm going to see what I can do in Photoshop and Lightroom to bring this image out. And what I come up with, you'll see after this. And if I come back for the evening, actually I expect I will come back for the evening, you will probably see an evening shot from this same location. Oops. I think I've come across the nesting site of a pair of sage thrashers. They've been going back and forth to that nest, into that bush that's right there. So I'm pretty sure there's a nest in there. Okay. Here goes one now, carrying what looks like nesting material. So I'm going to put you down, try and get some more shots and maybe some video, and you'll see what I get right here. So this is going to be the end of part one of my Arizona adventure. I may make a second part as part of this video, and if so, I'll put a comment or something upstairs. But in the interim, if you like what you've seen so far and you want to see more of it, please give me a subscription, hit the notification bell, it's going to be right down there. And please give me any comments and likes as you may have regarding what I've shown. So stay tuned. I'm going to be back here for the evening, and then I'll probably be looking for additional places to shoot in the morning. Sunset came and went, but without me. At 5 a.m. the next morning, though, I was back. Well, hello again. It's now the next morning from when you last saw me. I said I was going to try and come back in for evening, but after my morning recon, both my cameras and my sound equipment and myself all needed recharges, so I decided to come back early in the morning. It's now about 15 minutes before sunrise, and I've come back to the first location where I scouted out a bush, which I think as the sun rises slightly to my right, it should get some very nice light on the bush and also the mountains once the sun crests the horizon. It looks like we're going to have a nice sunrise too, because I see some high wispy clouds that are already starting to light up. So hopefully in about another 15 minutes, we'll get a real show. I'm going to show you where I'm looking at right now. Basically, you can see that I've got the bush framed, at least I will have the bush frame. I'm going to have to raise this tripod a little bit to make sure it doesn't cross the mountain crest. But I've got some prickly pear cactus in the foreground for a little foreground element, and and the mountains, of course, in the background, the bush in the middle. It's got some golden leaves, golden flowers on it, which I think will be very nicely backlit by the sun as it rises. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes and raise my tripod up a little bit and see if how this works. I think I'm going to be very happy with this shot if the light works out. I think it's going to be glorious. And then once I do that, I'm going to zip over to the second location. But let's get the first shot in the can first. I've had to move my camera position a little bit because the sun was going to be directly in the shot, and it still might encroach on the shot as the sun crests the mountain top. But I wanted to move over just a little bit. Hopefully, I'll still have some light in the sky. The clouds are a little bit thin, and they're actually moving away from me in the wrong direction, so I may get skunked on the light. But we'll see how that works out. But at least I've still got the bush framed above the mountain, and I've got the cactus in the foreground. So once the light really kicks off, I'll take the shot. All right, it is happening. The sun has risen. It is now cresting the horizon, and it's giving me a problem because it is now in my shot as I was afraid it was going to be, and it's casting quite a bit of glare on the foreground. So in between that and the wind, I'm going to have to do a couple of things. Well, basically what I'm going to have to do is take just 2 shots, one exposed for the foreground and basically the scene, one for the sky, blend them in Photoshop. And in the shot that I'm exposing for the foreground, I'm going to have to block the sun as much as I can, maybe with my hat. So hopefully it's not too much in the shot, because otherwise I have a lot of glare, as you can see here. So my base exposure is going to be 150. Actually, I'm going to raise the shutter speed, drop the ISO down to, I had it at 800, I'm going to put it at 400, and have a foreground exposure of 1/50 of a second f/16 at ISO 400. Block the sun. Let's try to block the sun. Right about there. I'll have to crop my hand out of the shot and make it a square composition, which I was probably going to do anyway. And then I'll take a separate exposure for the sky, and you'll see the final result after this. Once I got home and saw the RAW files, I realized I didn't need to composite the photos at all. I simply took the image that was exposed to the sky, because the shadows were not blown out, or blackened out, I should say, and brought the highlights up and did a bit of dodging and burning, and here's the result. All right, sequence 1 is in the bag. I'm going to have to quickly run over to location number 2 and hopefully get a good shot of those cactus framed against the mountains that I was looking at yesterday. So, got to pack up quick. All right, well, the shot I had lined up for yesterday was never going to work because it was just going to be a silhouette of the cactus against the hills. And the hills that I was looking at yesterday are still kind of backlit. But what I have in front of me, the light is just wonderful right now in between what's on the mountains in the background and the bushes and the cactus in the foreground. This is going to be pretty interesting. I have, as you see, I've got my changed lenses from the 24 to 1:5 I had on before to my adapted 16 to 35. And while I don't usually shoot as wide as 16, that's what I have right now, because I want to get everything from the foreground of this little cactus bush thing, whatever that is, to the nice bunch of prickly pears there, to the golden bush that's in the background, and then the sky, which actually is right now is just blue, but the mountains are lit up pretty well. So I'm going to focus stack this manually, because I'm going to have to blend them manually, and the reason being is because the wind is still kind of high, and it's picked up so that the bushes in the front is trembling, and the bush in the background is trembling. So I just want to be able to take an individual shot for each exposure when the breeze is kind of still, which is why I'm still using my cable release. So I'm going to line up shot number 1. My base exposures right now are f/13, 1/13 of a second, ISO 100. Actually, I think I'm going to pick that ISO up a little bit, again, just because of the breeze. See what happens at 400, which on this camera can still handle very well. All right, so yeah, that looks pretty good. Let me just see if I put my hand in front of the sky to remove the only part that seems to be blown out is the sky. There we go. Cut out the sky. Okay. 1/50th of a second should do because there's still some blowing up highlights on the cactus. Okay, that seems to have gotten rid of it. All right, so I'm going to be looking at 1/50th of a second, f13, ISO 400, and I'm going to start from the back, shoot the golden bush, and then the cactus in the front. So I'm going to focus bracket this exposure. The mountains are looking very nice in the background. I'm going to focus first on the bush that's in the back, then the prickly pear, then this thing here in the front. I've got my shutter speed up to 1/50th of a second to try and freeze the motion as fast as I can, but I'm still going to have to use my remote shutter release so I can time the exposure. And then I'll take a separate one for the sky just to get it darker. I've got the polarizer on. I've already polarized this image since I am more to the side, but the sky is still very bright. All right, so here's first exposure number 1. If I can wait for the breeze to stop, just for a second, breeze, please. In fact, I'm going to have to pick this ISO up so I can use an even faster shutter speed. Might have to pump it up to 800. That'll let me use a shutter speed of 1/100th of a second. So that should freeze the motion pretty good. All right, so here's exposure number 1. Okay, I think that's as slow as it's going to get. I'll take the others, take one more for the sky, and the final result you'll see coming up. So this is the focus stacked 4-image composite. As you can see, my use of a wide-angle lens created considerable distortion, which is especially noticeable in the cacti. So in Photoshop, I had to go back and straighten out the cactus without affecting the mountains too much, and I think I had a pretty good final result. All right, folks, I think that's going to make an episode. As you can see behind me, the sun is now very, very bright, so I'm not really going to get any more landscape shots here today. But I'm pretty satisfied for what I've gotten this morning. And if you've liked what you've seen, you want to see more, I am going to be in Arizona for a few more days, so please stick around. If you haven't already subscribed, give me a subscription, and any likes and comments, hit the notification bell that's right down there so that the next time I'll upload, you'll see it right away. I look forward to some more desert adventures out here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona area. I don't know where I'm going to shoot exactly next, but I'm going to be doing some researching, and you'll see what I come up with the next time I upload. So thanks again. See you next time. Bye.